I visited New York and I hated it.
Ever since I left the city, you and me, we just don't get along. You made me feel like I did you wrong.
But before I tell you why I hated it, put in the comments, why would you think I didn't enjoy my time in New York? Take your wildest guess. Put it in the comments. Welcome back to CWM University, where we learn together. And today, we're gonna learn about why I hated New York. And just like them Baptist preachers tell you, I ain't gonna hold you too long. But first, let me start off with the good things, because there were some things that I really did enjoy about New York. First thing, I really enjoyed Broadway. I went to New York with my mom several years ago, and we went to see Lion King on Broadway. And when I tell you, I don't know if I can even put it into words how good that show was. And of course, I grew up watching Lion King, like the original Lion King, not all these remakes. So when I was younger, we had the VHS tape, and I used to watch Lion King all the time. And so going to see it on Broadway, it made me feel, I don't know, it made my inner child happy, because it reminded me of one of my favorite movies when I was little. And then be able to see it performed and just see how they brought it to life. Oh, you cannot beat that. I had a time at Lion King. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I really did enjoy Central Park. So we stayed in a hotel that was on Times Square, and I was like, I got the bright idea. So let's walk down to Central Park. Let's get some steps in and go ahead and just, walk around Central Park and come back to the hotel. When I tell you, we walked and walked and walked, Central Park was way bigger than I thought it was. We saw the little horses in the carriages, the little water fountains, the little statues, plants and flowers here and there. But I was like, you know how like when you go somewhere new, you just excited about it. So you just like, I'll walk. See, I'm the type, I like to walk. If we can walk somewhere, I'm gonna walk there. And so I was like, we can walk. You get in there, and it's all fun and games until you realize we have walked a long time, and we still gotta walk back to the hotel. So I enjoyed my time walking around Central Park and just being in one of those spots where you just hear about it online. Like if you go to New York, you need to go to Central Park. However, you might want to look up how big it is to get your mind right, because my mind was not right. And some people were like, we need to sit down, let me take a break before we continue walking. But I did enjoy Central Park. Next place, I went to Junior's for cheesecake. And I have to say, still to this day, that's some of the best cheesecake I've had. And I'm pretty sure it's not the best cheesecake in New York, but it was the best cheesecake I ran into when I was in New York. So, yeah, I like to eat, and I like cheesecake, I like cake, but that cheesecake there, yeah, I really need another one, to be honest. And then I booked us a boat tour on Expedia at the time, and it takes you down the river or whatever, and you get to see all the buildings and the Statue of Liberty and the Brooklyn Bridge. So you got to see a lot of the things that people go to New York to see, but just on a boat. And it was real pretty that day. The wind was blowing, the sun was out. At some point, the sun started going down, so you got to see the sunset. My mother and I, we both enjoyed ourselves. So I didn't get to go to the Statue of Liberty, but I was cool just seeing it from the boat. And then, of course, I always have bright ideas. I was telling my mom that I wanted to go ride the subway, and she was like, I'm not going down there to the subway. And I was like, fine, I'll go by myself. Because I just really I feel like that's one of the experiences you need to have when you go to New York. You need to ride the subway. So I was bent on getting on that subway. So finally, I just kept on telling her day after day, I'm gonna ride the subway. I'm gonna ride the subway. If you don't want to go, I'm gonna go by myself. And so finally, she was just like, I'll go. She didn't want me to go by myself. So we got on the subway after we figured out how to get the little ticket to get on the subway. And I was like, these people are really like jam-packed on here. It's like dog-eat-dog world. You get on here, you get your seat, or you don't. But this door gonna close and it's gonna move. So you gonna have to figure it out. So we on the subway, we rode the subway to Marshall's. I don't even remember what part of New York we was when we got to Marshall's. And originally, I wasn't just heading to Marshall's, but where we got off at, I was like, oh, this would be a good place to just, walk around. We ended up going to Marshall's, finishing that, and then get back on the subway and going back to where we came from. But I just felt like it was one of those experiences that I needed to say I had when I went to New York. Another thing I liked while I was there, we went to Beauty Essex restaurant. If you have never been to one, they have several. They have one in New York. Where else was I? They have one in LA. I went to one in LA, and then they have one in Vegas. I think that's the only one I haven't been to. But it's like one of those restaurants when you first go in, you like, where we at? And then you go through another door, and then it's like, oh my goodness, this is just so beautiful. It was really nice in there. They usually, and I think both ones I went to, they play like soft R&B in the background, but it's not too loud where you can't hear somebody that you with. It's like a really good, nice experience. Now, let me tell you the story of how we got to Beauty Essex. So we were not close to that, so we had to catch an Uber. We didn't drive there, of course. So we had to catch an Uber. And at the time, it was I was just catching Ubers. We just learning about Uber or whatever. And it said, when you look on the app, it was like just a regular ride, share a ride, whatever. So I was like, well, it's me and my mom, so I guess we're sharing the ride. So I clicked share ride. Tell me why. We just going to the restaurant, you know, just looking out the window, happy to be in New York. Why they stop? And somebody else got in the car with us. We was in the back seat, so they got in the front seat. And I was like, me and my mama looked at each other like, what's going on? We was new to Uber at the time. So you know how that's how far back I went to New York. So we was new to Uber, and we was looking at each other like, so we just picking people up now? Sharing the ride means that you're gonna pick somebody up. I didn't realize it at the time. That was on me. One thing that kind of threw me off about New York, I can't just say that I didn't like it about New York. It just was different to me. So, like I've said plenty of times on this channel, I'm from the South. And the way people in the South are is way different than people up north or on the West Coast. Like, it's regional, and you don't really realize that it's different until you travel a lot, and just like, you think people acting funny, but they're not necessarily acting funny. It's just that that's just how it is in that regions of the state. So in the South, let me break it down to you. If you don't know anything about the South, when you go through doors, I'm gonna say 80% of the time, you go through a door, if a man is in front of you, he gonna pull the door open for you, hold the door and let you go through first, and then he's gonna go. Or if he's behind you, sometimes they'll run up, get the door, open the door for you, and let you go. In New York, baby, you be doing good if they hold the door. Like, if you behind them, they may hold the door and be like, here you go, you better catch the door. Hold the door and let you go through before them. Nah, that's not happening. Also, you will notice that, like, in the South, if you are just walking on the street, somebody gonna say hey to you. They gonna smile, they gonna say, hey, how are you? And you like, do I know you? But you don't have to know nobody really in the South for them to speak to you, right? In New York, oh, ain't nobody making no eye contact with you. And if they make eye contact with you, then you need to be weary about it, because they probably finna try to hustle you. Or they not from there. But New Yorkers, they headphones on, they mind their business. They really ain't trying to see what you doing, speak to you, nothing like that. I ain't gonna say that they were rude. It's just that it was something to get used to. Like, oh, it's different up here. It ain't the same down in the South. Like, you trying to make eye contact with somebody, you better mind your business. It was an adjustment for sure, but I can't say it was a bad thing about New York. It was just like one of those things that you just kind of learned how the people are. Keep in mind when you're traveling anywhere, whether you're traveling in the States or like into a different country, you got to figure out how the people move, how the people behave, and then you'll understand. You can't just like, oh, they rude, they don't do this, they don't do that. That's just how they are in that region. Now, you know, you could tell somebody being nasty and rude and just ain't got no sense. They ain't get raised right. But I realized that people there wasn't like that. They just how it is. It's not the South. And when you come out the South, you got to realize that there's going to be different ways that people move. Okay, so the first thing I didn't like about New York was we landed at the airport. We had already had a booked ride to get to our hotel, and I think it was by like Camel's limo service, somebody like that. When I tell you that man was driving like a bat out of hell, I'm talking about in and out of lanes. And I don't get car seat, but that man had my stomach hurt. I'm like, why is he driving like this? If I was gonna take us forever and a day to get to our hotel, why you driving so fast and then braking? And me and my mom like, braking hard. Like, what the heck? At one point, I really wanted to just tell him, you know what? Don't even worry about it. Drop us off right here. Because why was you driving like that? But on our way back to the airport, I made sure I went through a different company because we wasn't doing that again. We wasn't about to be swerving through the streets of New York. No. Now, growing up, I feel like the movie sold us a dream that when you look at things in New York, or you watch movies with people in New York, you see the big bright lights in Times Square, you see the people on the road, and you see the people that's walking, they just hustling, bustling, they about their business. So I just felt like when I went to New York, I thought it was gonna be like this big, bright, grand thing, and it was gonna make you feel like, you know, you about your business. Yeah, about that. So we stayed at the Crown Plaza, and so you could basically walk out our hotel and we were just right there on Times Square, which was really nice. And I was like, okay, I like the big, bright billboards. I was like, oh yeah, this cool. But I thought it was gonna last for longer. I felt like you take about 10 steps and then they're gone. In the movies, it makes it seem like they go on forever and ever and ever. That's not the case. So that wore off real quick. And then since we were up close to Times Square, we basically walked almost everywhere that we could go. And you just be walking down Times Square, looking around, trying to make sure nobody's trying to get you for a picture and scam you. You know, just manage your business and just taking in the sights. And then all of a sudden, you be like, what's that smell? See, I thought Bourbon Street. I've been to Bourbon Street several times, and I thought Bourbon Street was the most smelliest place I've ever been in the States. Nah. New York? Bro, you be walking down the street and next thing you know, what's that smell? And you just like, I don't actually know what it is, but it's horrible. They just be coming out, to me, it felt like they were just coming out the grates and just hitting you, smacking you in the face. I couldn't do it. Because just as soon as you thought you was out the clear and everything smelled decent and, you know, you having your time, boom, right in your face. Like, I cannot. Hopefully, I know they got a new mayor in New York, Mandani, and I heard that he's working on, you know, getting trash put in trash cans, things I see on social media that he's doing, and trying to make things cleaner. So maybe it's better now. I don't know. But while I was there, must have been one of those mayors that wasn't doing their job. You feel me? So I didn't like New York because of the smells and stuff. It really wasn't as grand and big as I thought it was gonna be. And plus, when you go to restaurants, they stuff you in them dang on restaurants. Why is there no space? Like literally, I'm sitting here, the next person sitting right there. I didn't come with them. Why are they sitting so close to me? And then you get ready to back your chair up and it's like, I only got a couple seconds now. I gotta stand up and like slide to the left, slide to the right. That's how I feel like you doing when you go to restaurants in New York. Why is stuff so boom, boom, boom? And I guess it's because there's so many people that live there. They're just trying to make a use of their space. But golly, I didn't come with this person. I don't want to know what they cologne smell like and what they got on their plate and what they talking about. So not only when I went to New York, they had us stuffed in every restaurant like a can of sardines. Why, please, somebody tell me, why is there so much honking? Why? Literally, I would watch a car be at the red light. Okay, the light turns green, and I mean as soon as that light turns green, they're like, why? Give a person time to register that the light has turned green. Why y'all blowing like that? Why? It was driving me crazy. Like, and I wasn't even driving. I never drove in New York, and I think I would never drive in New York, especially down there by Times Square. Why y'all blowing at me? Like, give me a minute. Light turn green, give me a minute to go. They just like, soon as light turn green, hey, you need to get out the way. We got somewhere to be. Now you may ask, Cole, why are you making a video about New York if you hate New York? So I went to New York a while ago, probably before 2020, and I swore that I would never go back to New York unless somebody was paying for me to go to New York. And then I probably was like, yeah, I ain't going to New York. You could ask me to this day, and somebody would ask me, do you like New York? And I tell them no, I don't like New York. Well, look at life. Ha ha ha. Joke's on me. I'm going back to New York soon. It's gonna be a little short trip, like 24 hours, and I need your help to make my New York experience better. Because people that I know visiting New York, they'll say, oh, New York is not like that. You went to the wrong place, or it's better experience this and there. So apparently I went to the wrong part of New York. So Let me know in the comments, where are some places I could go to have a good time? Where are some places I can go to eat? And what's some things that I should experience that I didn't experience already? Because I don't want to do what I already did. Now I only got 24 hours. So don't be trying to take me up, down, left, and right. And I don't have enough time to do that. What are some things that I can do? Now, one thing I do want to do, since I know I'm going back, is go to Canal Street. Why am I going to Canal Street? If you have to ask me that, you don't know enough about New York. You know why I'm going to Canal Street. So, and if you got any tips about going to Canal, let me know as well. I want this trip to be different because I swore I wasn't going back to New York. But I am going back and I want to enjoy myself. And I know not to go to Times Square, so I'm not going to visit Times Square. We already had that. So what should I do? Where should I go? Let me know in the comments. And make sure that you like this video. Whether you like New York or hate New York, go ahead and like this video. And then send it to somebody. They could probably make some good suggestions about where I should go. If you know somebody who either lives in New York or has been in New York and they said they had a good time, share this video with them so they can make a comment so I'll know where I should go. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. It does help me out, and my goal for this year is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you subscribe and then you send it to your homeboy, tell your homeboy to subscribe, and then your homeboy send it to their mama to subscribe, and then the mama send it to all her sisters and they subscribe, and then they send it to their co-workers, you know what I'm saying? Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We can make this a whole web. You see what I'm saying? So it just takes one to send it to somebody else to send it to somebody else. So if you can't subscribe, it's free. Joining the university, enrollment is always open, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time out to listen to me rant about why I hate New York and some good experience that I had in New York. If you've had bad experiences or good experiences in New York, leave them in the comments. Let me know. I would love to read them. And you already know. Until next time, peace out.